From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Tuesday, August the 22nd, 2017. While details are not confirmed, it appears that the peace negotiating delegation from the U.S. will arrive in Israel as early as tomorrow night. This according to a report today in Politico. As we have been reporting to you for almost 2 weeks now, the U.S. team, which includes White House advisor Jared Kushner, U.S. Special Envoy for International Negotiations Jason Greenblatt, and Deputy National Security Advisor for Strategy Dina Powell, are expected to stop in several Middle East countries and arrive in Israel before the end of the month to kickstart a new round of peace talks between Israel and the Palestinians. Although details of the exact dates and itinerary of the visit have not been publicized. Politico said today that the delegation was already in the Middle East and would land in Israel tomorrow night and meet with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Thursday. Again, there has been no official confirmation on the dates from the U.S. or Israel. Now, the Israeli Prime Minister tomorrow, Wednesday, is meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow. He will then fly back to Israel the same day. We will continue to give you details of the U.S.-Israel meet as they become available. Meanwhile, the leaders of Jordan and Turkey met in Jordan yesterday, calling for a renewal of talks. Jordan's King Abdullah II and Turkish President Recep Erdogan met in Amman, where, according to the Hashemite Palace, they discussed the resumption of serious and effective negotiations between the Palestinians and Israel to end the conflict on the basis of a two-state solution to assure an independent Palestinian state with June 1967 borders and East Jerusalem as capital. Israel police arrested a Jordanian national suspected of trying to smuggle a weapon into Israel. The Times of Israel reports that the suspect, who is a resident of Hebron in the West Bank, drove through a security checkpoint that was set up last night following intelligence information. Israeli officers caught the suspect and arrested him and found a fully loaded M4 assault rifle in his vehicle. And during questioning, the suspect said that he was paid to drive the car with the weapon into Israel. The family of IDF Lieutenant Hadar Goldin, who was killed in Gaza during Operation Protective Edge, is once again expressing outrage over the failure to bring their son's remains, along with those of his fellow IDF soldier Oron Shaul, back to Israel for burial. Both bodies are being held by terror group Hamas in Gaza. The Goldins were responding to an announcement made by Prime Minister Netanyahu today over plans to allow the opening of the Rafah border crossing, which connects Egypt and Gaza, on a permanent basis. Leah and Simcha Goldin said the government fails to link humanitarian issues in Gaza to the return of the remains, and demanded that the Prime Minister and Cabinet start acting to bring the boys home. CTV News Toronto reported that antisemitic graffiti was found over the weekend at 3 schools in the Toronto area. York Regional Police are investigating hateful graffiti, including swastikas, spray-painted on playground equipment at one public school, with similar vandalism found at 2 others. Inspector Alvaro Almeida told CTV News Toronto Sunday that the incidents were being treated as a hate crime. The Washington Post reports that the U.S. administration is urging the United Nations not to publish a list of companies that do business over the Green Line in Israel. According to the report, UN High Commissioner for Human Rights Zaid Ra'ad al-Hussein, who is Jordanian, said he plans to publish the database by the end of the year. U.S. State Department spokeswoman Heather Nauert said the U.S. has made its opposition to the list known, calling it counterproductive, saying it does nothing to advance Israeli-Palestinian issues. Israel's ambassador to the UN, Danny Danon, said yesterday that instead of focusing on the terrible humanitarian problems plaguing the globe, the Human Rights Commissioner is seeking to harm Israel and, in doing so, has become the world's most senior BDS activist, referring there to the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement, which seeks to delegitimize the State of Israel. Well, legendary singer Billy Joel performed last night at Madison Square Garden for his monthly appearance at the New York venue. And for his encore, he came on stage wearing a yellow Star of David on his jacket. The gesture was thought to be a silent protest by the singer, who was born to a Jewish family, against the recent rally of white supremacists and neo-Nazis in Charlottesville, Virginia. And taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Tuesday, August the 22nd. More from the Jerusalem Post conference in New York City at 7 o'clock with former IDF Chiefs of Staff Moshe Ya'alon and Dani Chalutz, who talk about the likelihood of peace with the Palestinians along with other issues. Then at 8, remarks from Alan Dershowitz at the conference, as well as from Sebastian Gorka and Caroline Glick. At 9, Mark Golub sits down with Bassem Eid on L'chaim, and at 10, Hussein Abu Bakr shares his story in a program of the Israel Connection and Stand With Us from the JCC of Stamford, Connecticut. And coming up right after this newscast tonight, former British Chief Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sacks talks about anti-Semitism in Europe and his view of the Jewish future. And that's the JBS News Update for Tuesday, August the 22nd, 2017. I'm Teisha Bader.